Episode 8. Crazy's House, Part A. A few minutes later, Crazy's Mustang made its way down a very long driveway. We're talking out of the way. We're talking, when there's a party going on, nobody can hear it. We're talking, the kind of place where what happens there stays there. And of course all three of these chuds were roommates. They all lived at this bungalow, which belonged to Crazy. That's right. Crazy was a homeowner. Okay, his mom owned it. She bought it for him when he turned 18 because she didn't want him in her basement the rest of his life. Crazy's mom was a notorious landlord who owned several properties in the slums of Lanesville. So technically she was a slumlord. Well, very technically, a slum lady. But she took it easy on her son and his friends. She even sent over a maid service once a week to keep the place tidy, free of charge. "You're in luck," Crazy said to Gia as they walked in. "The help came and cleaned up yesterday." The place was a sort of micro-frat house. Each room was a man cave, having its own gaming console, dorm fridge, pantry, wet bar and place to sleep. Whether it be a fold-out couch, a cot or a bed, each room had different add-ons. A pool table here, foosball there, air hockey, darts, even upright video games from the old days. And the posters of barely dressed women. There were plenty of those too. Gia's brain went into overload the second she walked in. Crazy's house was like a casino but without all the noise. But she could only imagine when the house was full of their friends. And the women they brought home. She made a mental note to not sit on any of the sofas or easy chairs. Then there was the basement. The basement was like if someone beamed the manosphere into the real world and condensed into one room, then threw in a pool table to justify all the toxic masculinity. So basically an adults-only novelty store without the price tags. There was a poster of dirty limericks on the wall, along with black velvet paintings of women in various stages of undress. A lamp whose base was a naked woman's torso. An actual real girl doll dressed in kinky lingerie standing in the corner. Gia spotted a pen sitting on one of the tables and was certain it was the kind that had a picture of a woman on it. And when you turned it upside down, the woman's clothes magically vanished. Crazy bragged that the keg in the basement was always full, as he poured out 4 red Solo cups. The guys had some deal with the liquor store, who would send someone to restock all the alcohol in the house, including the keg. Crazy was pissed because his mom no longer paid that bill. The keg sat just past the far end of a pool table around which they were all gathered. While Hazy and Crazy took hits off the bong, Gia had fun lining up shots and sinking balls. She'd already figured out how to grease between her thumb and forefinger with the chalk, making the pool cue slide more easily. Bored with just hitting balls in with the cue ball, she started lining up combination shots, hitting the ball harder every time. "Figured you for a ringer, Tabby," Hazy smiled after she made a bank shot. "A ringer?" Gia repeated, concentrating on her next shot. "Sure," Hazy said. "You know, someone who isn't supposed to be good at something but really is, and they walk away with all your money 'cause you figured they'd be easy to beat?" "What would make someone think I'm bad at hitting balls?" Gia asked. That was the last thing Lazy, Crazy and Hazy remembered before they blacked out. 3 hours later, Crazy was the first to come to, awakened by the heat of the noonday sun beating down. His head jerked up as he coughed up a wad of saliva in the back of his throat. He was in pain. He tried to move as his eyes focused. He stared at the back of his mom's house. How did he get in the backyard? When his mom bought it, there was a swing set in the backyard they decided to keep. Sure, it was silly but fun to play on when they partied. Now Crazy was wrapped up in the chains of one of the swings. He wriggled a little and heard a clink. Then, he began to spin. He spun faster and faster, only about 4.5 times, but it felt like more. On the last spin, he was flung by centrifugal force away from the swing set and onto the ground, where Hazy lay on his back. Crazy tried to stand but, dizzied from his little trip on the swing, fell back on the ground. He reached out and poked Hazy's shoulder. "Hey," he said to Hazy. "Hey!" Hazy stirred. Then Hazy's red eyes shot open, and he looked over at Crazy. He winced in pain. Did we have a fight or something? I got aches all over. Last thing I remember was we're in the basement, playing pool. Crazy glanced at his watch. It's 12:30, Crazy said, looking around. Crazy gasped when he spotted Lazy laying motionless on the back steps of the house. Lazy's pants were gone, dick hanging out, flies had gathered around his head. There was something on his face. Crazy tried to focus to make sure what was on his face wasn't what he thought it was. Unfortunately it was. Oh shit! What? Hazy said to Crazy, who pointed at Lazy. Hazy turned to look at Lazy's still, pants-less body on the stairs. Is that a pile of shit on his face? Crazy asked. I'm afraid so. Hazy trailed off as he got his first good look at the back of Crazy's head. It was an open wound. The skin had been stripped away, revealing the blood-stained white bone of his skull, strings of matted hair, dirt and a few blades of grass. Oh Jesus, your head! Hazy immediately vomited. He didn't puke much, just a strand of off-white liquid. Weird. His puke looked a lot like cum. What's going on with my head? Crazy asked and went to touch it and flinched. Ouch, what the hell, where's my hair? Is that... Christ. Crazy suddenly turned to Hazy with a panicked look in his eye. Where's my skin? Hazy pointed beyond Crazy again, this time to an unused flagpole on the far side of the swing set. A streak of red went up to about 20 feet. In the dirt at the flagpole's base lay a dark pink flap. From there they could see on the bottom of the flap was Crazy's hair. Crazy jumped up and ran over to the flagpole. He lifted the flap. It was almost square, about 4 inches by 4 inches. Crazy stared at his own hair on the other side of the flap and shook his head. You're good, bruh, Hazy said. Put it in a Ziploc. Come on, I'll take you to the fucking hospital. They heard Lazy groan from the stairs. Lazy raised his shit-covered head and looked at his 2 mates standing in the yard. He gagged a little at the stench from the turd on his face. He suddenly swatted his face, smearing the defecation further and getting it on his hand too. What the fuck? This is shit. Who put shit on my face? As Crazy stared sadly at the flap of skull skin in his hand, Hazy just looked at the ground. Dude, Hazy said gently, your pants. Whoa shit. Using his clean hand, Lazy covered his exposed groin and began looking around. Craning his head back, he saw a pile of denim at the back door. Okay. Lazy went to grab his pants but pulled up only one torn-off pant leg. He grabbed at the rest of the pile, pulling back piece after piece of what used to be an intact pair of pants. Underneath the pile, he saw his tidy whiteies were ripped as well. He tried to get up and his face became a mask of pain. You okay? Crazy asked, deliberately looking away to give Lazy some privacy. Lazy turned all the way around now. No, he said, then began to cry. No, everything hurts, man. Crazy and Hazy both looked at Lazy and their eyes bulged. Lazy's sphincter was open, but it had partially closed around something. Just inside Lazy's rectum was something flat, silver, shimmering. There's something in your ass, Crazy said. I kind of figured that out. Lazy screeched, twisting in pain. He reached down and examined the situation. He winced in pain and horror. What's in there? I can't get it out. What is it? Crazy and Hazy got close enough to see writing on that metallic surface. The rim of Lazy's anus was a dark purple. Crazy and Hazy exchanged a glance, a silent agreement to hide that fact from their pal. From what I can see, there's some kind of serial number, Crazy said. He looked at Hazy for help. If I was a betting man, I'd say it's a 24-ounce can of Kaiju Energy, Hazy said. Okay, Lazy said. Okay, we need help, boys. Just then their phones simultaneously vibrated. It was an alert. Crazy and Hazy automatically took their phones out. Lazy pulled the piece of his torn jeans that contained the pocket where he found his cell phone. They all looked at their phones. You have a new message from? I just got something from Gia, Lazy said. The other two nodded numbly. Check your photos, Lazy went on. They all hesitated and started going through their photos. I got a bunch of new videos, Lazy said, absently covering his crotch with a piece of his torn jeans. The other two nodded also. Should we watch them? Hazy wondered. I don't think we want to know what happened last night. Against Hazy's better judgment, they began playing their videos, and eventually wished they hadn't.